Hey everybody, it's Ben the Coin Geek. Thanks for joining me today for a breakdown of the UofA Women's basketball team's 2025-2026 non-conference schedule. So really just 2025 because the non-conference, of course, starts early and ends early. We've got a total of 11 games plus 2 exhibition games to talk a little bit about, and here we go. West Texas A&M and Cal State LA are our exhibition games, and we're looking forward to seeing 2 Division II schools come to town. After that, the schedule gets kind of interesting in lots of different ways. So here's the breakdown. UC Riverside, UC Irving, Grambling State, NAU, Northern Arizona University, Northern Colorado, Cal State Bakersfield, Southern University, University of New Mexico, Eastern Kentucky, Chicago State, and Bellarmine, which I don't even know if that's actually how that's stated. Now, if you're like me, you probably heard some of those names and saw that schedule and thought, do we have Division II schools on the schedule? The answer is no. Actually, somewhat surprisingly, both Chicago State and Bellarmine are newer to Division I. But we have Big West, Southwest Atlantic, so SWAC, Big Sky, Big West, another SWAC, a Mountain West school, ASUN, NEC, and ASUN. So we're going to see a whole lot of different types of schools coming into town, but none of them are from the Big Four Conference, which of course used to be the Power Five until our beloved Pac-12 imploded. All right, so what does the schedule look like compared to years past? So, of course, in years past, we had Adia Barnes complaining about how her schedule wasn't tough enough because she didn't get the points she needed to get it where she wanted. And then we had her complaining about the schedule being too tough and teams getting in ahead of her because they had harder schedules or because they had easier schedules. We've seen the argument go both ways. I think the difficulty with what Adia Barnes is saying here, or maybe is not saying here, is that, you know what, scheduling a certain way doesn't always work in your favor, regardless of what you think. And I think having a nice mixture is where you really want to go, because when you have a schedule that's super easy, you're really setting yourself up for failure once you get into the conference, because the Big 12 conference is going to be a very tough conference for women's basketball this year. What type of a schedule do you want to have? Well, when you have a brand new team, literally everybody but one player is new, a brand new coach, everything's new, I think I'm not going to complain about a schedule that looks like it's probably one of the softer schedules in the conference. There's probably some wisdom to this. Now, I don't understand or know who scheduled these games. There's so many things that are scheduled ahead of time and then things that are scheduled on the backside. All of the money in the game is totally different than it was, 5, 6, 7 years ago. So there's a whole lot that goes into making the schedule, and we'll see, first of all, how the fans support the team. That's going to be a real big thing to see, and we'll see how the team responds. So UC Riverside was a 17-win last season. UC Irving was a 21-win team last season. Grambling State, 15 wins. NAU, of course, I think they beat us like 8 times last year. They had 27 wins. Northern Colorado had 14 wins. Cal State Bakersfield, only 2 wins last year. So they will be a team on the uptick this year. Southern, 21 wins. New Mexico, 27. Eastern Kentucky, 21. Chicago State, 7. And Bellarmine, 18. NAU and New Mexico both went to the big dance last year. New Mexico won their first round game. So we've got 2 teams on there. NAU is actually probably going to have a step back. They lost a bunch of seniors, and there's just a lot of turnover there as well. So we'll see, but there's a couple of teams on here that, we can talk about being smaller schools and hopefully beating smaller schools, but some of these schools are definitely going to give us, I think, a run for our money. So it's very hard to see exactly where we'll be because we haven't seen the team play yet. We'll get to that in a second. For the fans, though, one of the things that was a real big shock to the system was going from the Pac-12 last year, 2 years ago, to last year, the Big 12, and having games being played seemingly at any time of day, any day of the week. It was like being on call for, a nurse, right? It's like, just come on in. The hospital needs you. We were there, it seems like, all the time. The opening game was a Monday at 4 p.m. or 2 p.m. It was a terrible time for our home opener. Awful, awful. So this year the schedule's feeling a little bit more set, at least in the preseason, the non-conference schedule. Almost all of the games that are on a weeknight are at 6 p.m. and the Sunday games are at 2 p.m. We've got a Thursday, back-to-back Sundays, a Friday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday, Monday, Thursday. So although when I say it out loud, it sounds pretty scattered. Trust me, last year it was a lot more scattered. This feels a little bit more consistent when you look at it on the calendar. Hopefully the U of A fans will be able to get there in a timely fashion and be ready to cheer on the Lady Cats. Of course, with 11 preseason games, non-conference games, people will probably want to have a pick of like how many games are we going to win. We have almost zero knowledge of real working knowledge of what the team is going to look like or how they're going to be. I'm still feeling pretty confident that we end up, coming out of this like 8-3-ish. That's all just a gut check. That's just like me going for my gut. There's a whole lot of assumptions I'm making based on things that I've read, seen, and heard, and just seeing the type of schedule we have and knowing what it was like when we first got our season tickets in 2017 and being able to sit down and watch teams like this and this type of schedule beat us or play us within a bucket or two, right? And so as much as people complained the last couple of years about our performances, we were going in and teams that maybe we should have, the fans felt like we should have beat by 20, we beat by 12 or 15, but also those are teams that in 2017 we were either losing to or barely beating. So we have to understand we're not going to win them all kind of thing. The fans are here still to support the players. In my opinion, that's like we're here for them. And hopefully they'll be here for us as well, right? There's a two-way street on that. I'm definitely feeling like in the non-conference schedule, what we're going for here after we work our way through this schedule of a bunch of SWAC teams and Big Sky and Big West teams, hopefully an 8-win. I'll feel pretty good if we've got 8 wins out of that. And if we've got more, it's just bonus. But the big takeaways that I'm hoping to get out of this, what we can learn is one style of play, right? We want to see what type of a team, regardless of how many wins or losses we have, what type of a team we have coming out of that. What's the style of play that we have? I think we already have an idea, but until we really see it, we won't really know. But it should be, I think, a little bit more run and gun on up tempo compared to the Hadia Barnes / Sean Miller style of like, let's wait and find out what the defense. Let's let the defense set up. We'll see. I definitely I'm a run and gun myself. What I meant is what can I say? The other things that are really going to be takeaways by the end of that season, by the time we get into the Big 12 conference, is going to be we're going to be able to see who our leaders on the court are, and I mean that just in just a straight out leadership fashion. The one thing that we really were missing the last several years was leadership. We didn't have that floor general that connected with everybody else on the court. And we want to see if we're playing good team ball, but also who the other players on the team are leaning on and leaning towards. I'm really looking forward to we have some grad students. The fact that everyone's coming in at the same time gives a real good opportunity to gel and have cohesion. This, I think, is a unique situation that I think will lead to possibly one of our best cultural fits. This year, maybe Coach Burke's best cultural fit, because from here on out, it's going to be playing the moving pieces game where you already had some people on the bus that might be getting off the bus and new people getting on the bus. Here, it's everyone. It's like your first day on Survivor. We're all just in it together. Like, oh, this is great. We're going to have some fun now, right? So we'll see who the leaders are, but we'll also get to see the players. We want to see who's a player. We're going to be able to come out of this, I think, and see what I think we'll see is some really solid guard play. I think we have some extremely talented girls. I think we have some shooters. As long as they can move the ball well, that's going to be a key. We're going to see if this team can pass well. I think that we're really going to be a little bit more competitive than how I was feeling in May or June or whatever of this past year when everything was still crumbling and being put together. So style of play, leaders, players, and then the other thing that we're going to know coming out of the non-conference is the level of competition that we are at. Now, one of the things with any type of season, your team will progress and change. And so we're not going to put all of it together in November and into December, but we should have an idea of our level of competition. If, the SWAC teams are really giving us a hard time, the Big 12 is going to be a lot rougher. If we're able to be very competitive, play well as a team, and come out, like I said, in that 8-3 range, I think that we'll have seen what our level of competition is. If everything's a squeaked out win, it's going to be a real long season once we get to the conference schedule. So I'll be putting out a conference schedule video probably near the end of the non-conference season. So as always, like, share, subscribe. Be here for the U of A Women, and be here for someone who's going to talk U of A women's basketball. All right, guys. Comments, you can leave them. It's the internet. Maybe you shouldn't. All right. Thanks.